Hey, what's up? Chris here from Chris's Sci-Fi Reactions. Today we're here with another Lost in Space episode. This is Season 1, Episode 3, titled Infestation, I think. Yeah, last episode. Okay, I've been finding Lost in Space not as enjoyable as I thought it would be. Doesn't mean it won't get better, but yeah. Just remember the full uncut, unedited reactions are available on Patreon. There's also other shows that I react to, full uncut, unedited versions for them as well, including some free ones. The pilots of a few of those shows are free, including the first episode of Lost in Space. Also listed in the description below is my social media accounts, that's Facebook and Twitter. Let's just get straight into this. I don't think we've seen this in the first two episodes. I could be wrong. Pretty good opener, actually. I think part of the problem I'm also having with this is that the duration of the show, 55 minutes, is quite substantial.
Is it wrong to want to say goodbye to my sister? You know I'd bring you if I could.
Stop ruining things with a bunch of lies, Jess.
I'm just trying
To apologize?
Why would I apologize for being a productive member of society?
Oh, there's a girl I know.
I'm just saying, at some point, you have to take responsibility for your choices.
Coming from someone who's never had to make any.
That's not fair.
Your college wasn't paid for. Dad didn't leave you the business.
What, and he should have left it to you? You're a criminal, June.
I've made mistakes.
And I'm glad you recognize that.
So, it's June. I don't think we've heard her actual name mentioned before.
How do I swing?
Oh, wait. I didn't ask you here to fight. I just wanted to give you these. My house, my car. I'm not gonna need them anymore, so. No. Start fresh. Be a better version of yourself.
I could live here.
Yes.
I could drive your car. Wear your clothes.
If you'd like.
So I could just be you.
Bitch. Damn. You're doing that to your own sister. That
helps to say what they were out loud.
It was nothing. Really. I'm fine. Is it safe?
Hey, I think that's the first time I've ever heard you ask that question.
Yeah, well, you haven't been around here much of anything, so.
Hey, Jude? It's okay if you don't want to come down here.
Mom always says 4 hands are better than 2.
Doesn't she also say too many cooks spoil a broth?
Not one time.
Speaking of which...
There's still got to be something under the water, yeah. I'm guessing that's just standard glass.
Because he's listening to what's inside.
What do you mean?
Leave them.
I don't understand.
Oh,
We're in here.
that's...
How are you gonna get out there?
You're a robot. Think about it. He only cares about putting you in danger. He could care less what happens to me.
But I care about what happens to you.
Oh, damn. That will mean he protects her as well.
I appreciate that, Will. I really do. But one thing you'll learn about me, I can handle myself. Come on. Tell him.
Robot, I'm gonna need you to listen.
That's right, Will. Be brave. Be brave for yourself, not for her, though. Yeah, without a doubt, this has been the best episode so far.
Did you make it? With our printer?
Oh, damn.
Danger? From what? It was just a bad dream. Look. I know you don't want to hurt me. But if we're gonna be friends, you can't hurt anybody. Ever.
This is really interesting. I like this. The whole stuff with Will and the robot, I think, is the most interesting. Oh, damn. Okay. Okay, so that was Lost in Space Season 1, Episode 3, Infestation. Definitely my favourite episode so far. I am having a bit of an issue with these being so long compared to, what I usually watch. Buffy, that Smallville, which are about 40 minutes long, compared to this, which is about an hour long. I also find the Lock and Key, its first episode was longer, which isn't too unusual for a story, but Lock and Key does seem to have reduced to about 40 minutes now as well. Whether Lost in Space will be the same, it will be interesting, because I'm someone who always finds it harder to get through so long. For instance, Doctor Who, the episodes are only 22 minutes long, which makes it a lot easier, which I like. Even Red Dwarf is only half an hour long. Yeah. So, very good episode. Let's just break it down and see if we can find a result. We start off with sort of Dr. Smith, June, aka June, Dr. Smith, and her sister. Sort of, her sister is obviously quite rich, offering to leave June her house and car while she goes off to Alpha Centauri. June then poisons her in order to steal the chip. Then we sort of have it on the Jupiter where we're seeing Dr. Smith with no sign of Don on this episode. They're talking here all about, what can they do? How can their plan go ahead? The mum seems to be driving them really hard. What I do like is that they sort of stood up to her and said, I know we need sleep. Here we get, Dr. Smith and Maureen talking very much. We get Judy here. She is still having, a bit of post-traumatic stress from the event in the first episode. She won't admit it to the dad at all. I don't think she wants to admit it to herself. Here we get June. I'm going to call her Dr. Smith, because even though her name is really June something, I'm just going to refer to her as Dr. Smith. She's, sneaking around, looking at things, trying to find information on everyone. Then, excuse me. Then we have sort of the Will having a nightmare about what he saw, what happened, and sort of trying to almost run away from the robot. Here is where I think the ice... Oh, no. We find out that the engines aren't working properly. Obviously from the storm, they've been messed up a bit. And let's have a look. Maureen finds out that someone tried to replicate. I'm in Star Trek mode. Someone tried to use a 3D printer to print a weapon. Obviously, she thinks it's the father, John. Here's quite interesting. We sort of get Judy here, not wanting to go down into the water, very much just holding on to the ladder. Here we've got John, talking about the weapon, and then we've got also talking about Judy in the fact of, how she's suffering, but the mum isn't, oh yeah, Judy's fine. There's nothing wrong with her. I guess the father's been in the military, so he sort of has an idea of what trauma can do to a person. Whereas the mum seems to be more like, no, she can just do it. She's very much resourceful and just is fine. Either she can't see it or doesn't want to see it. I'm not 100% sure there. Then we have sort of Dr. Smith sort of bullshitting her way, telling Maureen that, oh, I'm not the best. You know, even though I did basic training, I'm not the best at engineering. Here we get them on the bridge, very much just, I can't remember what they were talking about there, but Judy again here feeling like she's trapped in the ice and sort of trying to express her trauma in a smile, sort of trying to show, you know, this is, I mean, I'm not a psychologist or a mental health professional, but I'm guessing it's like sort of a self-reflection that's she's trying to make herself happy. Here we have Will and Penny sort of working on cleaning up stuff, and very much just wanting the robot to do it. You know, Penny's very much a bit lazy here. Then we get John down in the, I think it's the engine room. I think it's on the lower level, the engine room. And then we have them talking, you know, Dr. Smith sort of saying, oh yeah, you're like my sister. We then sort of get the robot suspicious, and we find out there's eel-like creatures. She's on the bridge talking to the dad stops responding, and sort of brings in this eel that he killed. Here they do you know, she does an autopsy and finds out that they're actually feeding on the fuel, and that's why the fuel levels are going down. We now also here got a bit more of a technical look at the Jupiter. That at the bottom there are two tanks. One is very much the primary and then the secondary, and when the primary is actually emptied, the secondary automatically fills into the primary. Here we have John trying to get in there, but the robot just won't let him. Here we've got, you know, Dr. Smith and Will sort of talking about the robot and how it's controlled. You know, Smith saying, oh, maybe it's not what you tell him, but it's how you feel, you know, your emotions. You're scared, and because you're scared, the robot is protecting you. Here we then find on the Resolute with her undercover, the boyfriend of the sister, obviously. They then get into a fight. He's pushed into the airlock, and Dr. Smith just won't press the override and basically commits murder. Then we have it all back to the repair. It's very much a maintenance / survival against nature, if you like, sort of episode. Of John fighting, the ice sort of breaking up. Then Penny, you know, falls down into the engine room. Dad tries to save her. she was trying to take the ship off. Actually, I think she was trying to eject. Yeah. But then she sort of goes and helps, which makes her change out of her self-interest. Here we sort of discover that the engines are blocked then, and Judy really steps up here. This is where she sort of returns maybe back to her pre-traumatic self. Then they sort of break out. I liked this moment very much because it was very much the classic sort of Lost in Space music with a little bit of a modern form. Here they end up crashing, but they land. And they find out that there are other Jupiters as well as the Resolute. The robot was protecting Will, and Will was giving him a hug. I think the father wasn't too pleased with that. And very much here then at the end we sort of flash back to what happened and that they haven't formed a justice system yet. And sort of end up with the father wondering who printed it. Then at the end we find out that the robot printed it, possibly due to what he's seen in Will's mind. It's like, here, you might need this gun if I turn out like the other way. And Dr. Smith sort of sneaking behind. Okay, so that's the breakdown of that Lost in Space episode. A very good episode. Probably my favourite so far. As I said, not a big fan of the duration of the story. But that being said, I know I'm running late on this, and probably for the next 2 weeks, this won't be the only thing I'm late for. Probably be a lot of the episodes, you'll see them a few days later than I usually like to put them up. That will include Buffy, Smallville, all of them. So yeah, just remember the full uncut, unedited versions are available on Patreon. Patreon will also see the Buffys, Smallville, everything I do. It always becomes available on Patreon first. It does take me a while to edit on YouTube, so that's why it's always quicker up on Patreon. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.